Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing super well and welcome to this little oil painting video. I thought before we begin my speed paint, I'd show you some of the paintings that I have been working on in the past. That was a rabbit driving a car, as you can see. And here we have another rabbit. This is a sort of hare, I guess, playing chess. This was a painting that actually took a really long time, which was kind of difficult for me because I had to sort of think of lots of different ideas. But yeah, it was very time consuming. And this is another painting that I painted a while ago. And this was for the Let's Draw Monsters hashtag on Instagram. This was an amazing hashtag and so much fun to do. I wish that I took part in more hashtags on Instagram, but it always kind of slips my mind really, or I never have time. Actually, it's more of a time thing. And here's another cat. I quite often paint cats on my channel with a crystal ball, and hopefully it looks quite magical. I did a lot of glazing on that one. And here is a drunk frog. Forgive me, I don't know what I'm doing with my hand there. And this is a toad that liked to go to the pub. And so I was experimenting on the Bella Arti gesso boards, which were really amazing, actually, very absorbent. Here is a princess that is locked in a tower that has to read every single book in the library. And that's pretty much it. Those are the paintings I have completed over the past few months. I hope you liked them. And please, that was supposed to say, please subscribe to me and follow me on Instagram if you can. And now welcome to this speed paint. Painting is entitled Where the White Rabbit Goes. And if you'd like to know the stories behind my oil paintings, please follow me on Instagram and I will follow you if you're an artist or a creative person and have all the stories behind my paintings on Instagram. So in this painting, I thought I would talk about painting techniques. I only am going to talk about 3 painting techniques because actually there are so many oil painting techniques. I mean, it's just so vast, which is one of the reasons why I just adore oil painting. But I thought I'd talk about 3 which are kind of really famous. You've probably heard of them, and possibly you thought, what on earth does this mean if you don't paint regularly, or perhaps you've never explored these ideas or been too afraid to explore them. So I just thought I'd chat about them. So the first one I thought I'd talk about is Impasto. Impasto is a really interesting technique. It's not one that I use particularly, but it's probably most famous, or maybe made most famous, by Van Gogh, and it really is layering very, very thick paint onto your canvas. And you could use a palette knife to do so, or you could use various mediums as well if you want to create very thick paintings, mostly used nowadays by abstract artists. And what's so great about Impasto is that you can create really 3-dimensional painting. The last time I was in the National Gallery, I went really close to some comfortable paintings because I really like to see artists' techniques sort of close up. So I went as close up as I could without getting told off. And you could see that he'd used a very thick number of layers in his paintings, a really amazing way of using Impasto. And he creates this very 3-dimensional look, particularly with forests and trees, and the way he kind of uses colour and this thick painting technique is quite incredible. The next painting technique I'm going to talk about is called dry brushing. And again, this is not a technique that I use particularly nowadays. This is a technique that I used to use when I was starting oil painting, and quite a lot of the time when you start painting you don't really use mediums because it's just seems too intimidating when you start. I do really encourage people actually to start using mediums as early as possible, but there are some artists who actually don't like using mediums. Of course, when you're using different types of mediums, you have to be careful in terms of like the toxicity and so forth. So some artists just decide to get rid of the whole method of using mediums and instead use this dry brush technique. And it basically just means you have a dry brush. So you start painting, you take every single drop of paint off your brush, and then you use dry paint with your brush and you apply it to your canvas. Some people do also add a few drops of linseed oil when they're dry brushing. Just be aware, of course, that with linseed oil your paintings can yellow over time. I have used linseed oil a fair amount in paintings here and there, and I've never had a yellowing experience. I've always used very high quality linseed oil though, but sometimes you just can't avoid these things. And the third technique that I wanted to talk about is fat over lean, but I think I'm going to leave it to my next video because I don't think I can fit it into this video. Here is the painting when it's finally finished, and this did take quite a while actually, purely because I was painting on quite a small canvas and I was trying to squash all the trees in. But I was really happy with how this came out, so I do hope you all like this painting. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week. Take care, guys.